Yo, and welcome to an audio clip of a 2017 interview I did with rapper More or Less, in which I asked him about his Doctor Who fan letter. Bigger on the Inside, a Time Traveler's Mixtape, released on November 4, 2013. I am Sammy, host of My Summer Lair. The day after JFK was assassinated at 5:16 p.m. on Saturday, November 23, 1963, the first episode of Doctor Who was transmitted to British children. Ever since then, it's been adventures across time and space in a blue police box called a TARDIS with a variety of companions. It has been a remarkable and outstanding sci-fi journey full of fear and fun, and I was grateful fans, like More or Less, are inspired enough to silently respond to this remarkable TV show. Check this out. Bigger on the Inside can be found at Bandcamp. I want to connect to some of your nerd leanings. You have quite a number of nerd leanings.
I got a few, yeah.
A few nerd leanings. Does some of what you're saying about making the album and giving a shit and all that stuff, is some of that influenced by your passion for Doctor Who? Because that's a very, as a Doctor Who aesthetic. Right?
Right.
He's very over the top, very creative. Generally speaking, I know there's been different incarnations, but those are general hallmarks. But he cares deeply.
Yeah, it's like, like I have a song on the album actually called Give a Shit. And it's just what the idea I was trying to express is like, if you just try, just try and just give a shit about what you're doing. Like, just think about what you're trying to accomplish, and what you're going about. And, is that where you want to take things, And obviously, I'm not in everybody's head. I'm not a psychic. I don't know what people sort of start out thinking maybe when they're doing their other art, their other projects. But it's like, for me, it feels like you could, I feel like you could just tell when people aren't putting in all the effort. You can just tell when somebody is just not, is just not doing it, is not giving a shit. So for me, I just always, I just want to get it across in this song and this album, especially, that's where I'm always trying to take it. I'm always trying to if I make a song about brunch, I'm trying to do the best, gosh darn brunch song that I can possibly make, and not just phone it in and be like, I'll just, talk about eggs and who cares, you know what I mean? So it was a challenge for me with the Doctor Who album, to think about that for a second.
Time Traveler Mixtape.
Yeah. When I started that project, I was trying to decide, do I just sort of lightly address, things about Doctor Who, or do I go in because I'm a fan? And so when I started writing it became quickly obvious that I was like no prisoners, man. Just do it. Just go in, show these dudes that I mean business. I've watched a lot of Doctor Who. I may not have seen every episode because some of them are lost.
Yeah.
So no one's ever going to see every episode.
You got 50 years of life.
Yeah. But I've seen I think at this point, I think it's fair to say I've probably seen 80% of all the Doctor Who episodes that are available.
I've heard you talk in other interviews about Tom Baker and how obviously that's one of your favorite doctors.
Yeah.
But I also haven't heard you talk a lot about the companions.
Well, the companions are just about as important to the story as the Doctor, in the sense that, you have this character who doesn't relate directly to anything that, people know, because he's an alien. And so you've always got to have that human element so that you could get some sort of understanding of the situation. That's always been the concept behind the companion traveling with the Doctor. And, between they lightly touched on it maybe now and then in the original series, but not really. They've tackled it more since the revived series about what exactly does that mean to be traveling with this person, with this alien that basically doesn't age, and can, for the most part, live forever.
Well, they also lose a lot of life. There was that scene with Amy and Rory where I think they left for a party or whatever, and then I think their dad or somebody noticed they had different clothes. And he was like, how long were you guys gone? We're 2 weeks or something. And it's
yeah.
they go, and like they're probably like several years older than everybody thinks they are.
Yeah. I've wondered how that works, right? But then there's always this talk in the current series about the energies of the TARDIS, and maybe that sort of slows down the aging process, and
It makes sense.
and that kind of thing.
Would you want to be a companion? They don't. Some of them don't last. Like they don't have like good endings. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, it's pretty dangerous rolling with that guy. Like even before that became a theme, you know, in the current series, it even back then it was like you're really putting your life in his hands, and it's like they're always in dangerous situations, you know. And previously, it was a lot of the companions were orphans, right? They were traveling with him because they lost their families already. Like they met him in a bad situation, and so now they're like, well, of course I'll take this opportunity to travel through time and space, because if I've got nothing here, like I stay here and nothing's doing. But
they have loneliness in common.
Yeah, exactly. And in the new series, they've you know, they've tweaked that a bit. It's like Rose Tyler, for example, still had her family back on Earth, and she was coming back, you know, every once in a while to visit and get her laundry done by her mom, and and you know, maybe hang out with her previous boyfriend, and it was an interesting, you know, sort of tweak to the whole companion thing. But it's like always clearly dangerous. Like if you're rolling with that guy, like you got to know that you're about to get into some like crazy trouble.
Ruckus.
Yeah, exactly. Ruckus.
This has been a notable audio moment hand-picked from My Summer Lair, a podcast hosted by Sammy Younan. Visit mysummerlair.com for all the delightful details.